Alrighty then, welcome back. This is still the morning show right here on ETV. Now, farm murders have been a great concern for all South Africans because of their gruesome attacks on the old and vulnerable who live in secluded locations. I mean, however, there is a narrative that has been pushed that there is a plan to wipe out the white minority population of South Africa. We saw protests by the Black Monday movement as well as visits to the United States by the Suid-Afrikaners in the attempt to lobby for assistance to end the war against white South Africans. Now, National Chairperson of Black Monday movement, that's Valerie Beyliefeldt, is here joining us, including the Chairperson of the National Conservative Party, that's Schalk van der Merwe, and also the spokesperson of the Suid-Afrikaners, Simon Roche. And they're joining us, of course, this morning here in the morning show to address what they say is white genocide in South Africa. So, ladies, gentlemen, thank you for your time. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tumelo.
Thank you so much. I suppose to open up, our conversation, I'd like to ask you if you think there is a race war in South Africa, particularly between white South Africans and black South Africans. Valerie?
Definitely there are.
Mm-hmm.
There are
Also.
definitely. You know what? Let me put Mr. Schalk van der Merwe first to the word, and then I will fill in and explain from my side.
All right. Do you want to go?
Yes,
Schalk?
thank you very much for the opportunity, Tumelo. Yes, I think it's a much more complex question than just saying yes or no on a question like this. Through the years, since the dawn of the new South Africa, we've seen an increase in legislation, we've seen an increase in statutes coming from government that started to exclude people, white people from the economy, started to exclude them from economic activity, etc., etc. We've seen white schools, mostly Afrikaans schools, those schools gradually becoming English medium schools. We've seen through the years all the farm attacks, we've seen a host of other attacks in cities even, many of them very gruesome, as you pointed out.
Okay.
So a perception is at least there, that there is something going on at this point in time against the white population of South Africa. I think that is where the Suid-Afrikaners also started to do their investigations and their, basically looking at what is going on with the situation. So we're definitely not having a full-scale civil war at this point in time.
Yeah.
But we're sitting with political groups, i.e. the EFF, i.e. Black Land First, who calls for genocide of white people. Now, if this was any other society in any other location on Earth, there would have been a public outcry about this, but there's not.
Because you feel that it's white people that are involved, so therefore there's no public outcry about it.
Exactly, and we've been desensitized now for 25 years, as I said, through even legislation coming through, and the media, and all these aspects, that desensitize people to the aspects that we're covering here.
All right. Let me come to Valerie because of time. I need to hear your point and then move on to Simon, please.
Yeah, you see, Tumelo, what I mean is, yes, there is definitely an ongoing white genocide happening in South Africa based on race, and which is actually based on encouragements of insiders like the EFF, Black Land First, getting people actually going and stand on stages, singing the songs, kill the boer, kill the farmer. We recently had one farm attack on the 25th of November, where one of our own members of the Black Monday movement, South Africa, and her husband was attacked in Cape, where they poured out petrol on top of the husband and they wanted to rape the lady as well. We are the voice of the people, of the white minority people and other minority groups in South Africa that is being killed based on our race because of the color of our skin. You see, so yeah, that's it basically.
We're going to hold right there, and based on that point, let's take a look at this insert.
Mr. Donald Trump, I would very much like you to come to South Africa and to come and see for yourself that there is an ongoing slaughtering of the white minority and other minority groups in South Africa, and that our President Cyril Ramaphosa has blatantly tell you a lie, that there are no such things as farm murders in South Africa.
In August, we put the South African government on terms in which we said very specifically to them, you will have to intervene as a government to protect the white minority in South Africa, but also the other minorities. There's a tendency of threats of genocide, there's actual murders, very well farm murders by now, the whole world is aware of that. We even had the tweet of President Trump. You, South African government, you must intervene. If you do not intervene, then you condone and you become a party to genocide. You become a party to murder. The document that we're delivering today to the Embassy of the United States of America, as well as across the street to the High Commissioner of Australia, the Commonwealth of Australia, says exactly that. It says, here are the petitions. Here you are put on record. You did not respond, South African government. You are now part and parcel of what is going on here.
All right, now, of course, based on the sentiments that we've just heard in the clip, Simon, I want to come to you because I know that you've also been part of, the Black Monday movement and calling out the United States to step in terms of, assisting in what is perceived as a white genocide, according to the white minority. And I say it's a perception because not all races share that same sentiment. But I know that you've also been challenged on it. You've mentioned names such as the EFF and the Black Land First, but what is your stance right now in terms of whether you think this is, a race war, or you feel it's more of just the black against white, or it's just a holistic war against race?
I should clarify one thing. Suid-Afrika is strictly a civil defense organization constituted under international law. So we haven't participated in Black Monday at all. Okay. We haven't endorsed it, we haven't participated in it, although some of our members do in their private capacities. We would, our purpose, our sole reason for existence is to prepare for a civil war. So what we would draw to people's attention is that technically speaking, there is not a genocide happening in South Africa. It doesn't meet the technical criteria for genocide. However, we would point out to people that the head of Genocide Watch of Washington, D.C., Dr. Gregory Stanton, who is acknowledged as the world leader in this field, puts us at 2 stages before genocide of the white people. So these are international scientific authorities saying that in terms of historical standards and in terms of the scientific norms, we are standing on the brink of a civil war. That would obviously concur with Justice Mogoeng, who was reported on the 4th of February 2018 as breaking down in an interview saying that a civil war is a certainty in South Africa. We know that Moeletsi Mbeki has predicted the same thing. We know that Andile Mqitama was recently interviewed by a journalist called James Pogue for Harper's Magazine, sponsored by the Pulitzer Foundation, where he said, I am fighting for one thing, and that is a proletarian revolution against the colonialists within the definitions of colonialism of a special type. So we know for a fact that this is a specific agenda that is being driven, not because we say so, but because the people that we quote say so.
Schalk, I need to ask you and come back to you. Do you think that the comments and the sentiments and the narratives that you share as a movement, as a minority in South Africa, are for the unity of South Africans? Because when one visits your websites, we still see the old flag, which is still associated with the apartheid regime. Some have been attached to cars. And some South Africans feel that perhaps your intentions are not in the right place.
Yeah, now let's quickly deal with the issue of flag, because that became very controversial. The previous incidents where we had Black Monday, those were 2 flags planted. One of them was actually an old photograph planted on one of those pages. During Black Monday movement protest marches, we do not display any party political flags, any national flags, any insignia. We keep it as neutral as possible. Part and parcel of Black Monday are also, for instance, the Indian community. There's many Indian people in Natal supporting this. We have colored people in the Western Cape supporting it. So this narrative that some people try to establish now, that we now want apartheid back and we are still these khaki-clad races running around and we that's our agenda. It's certainly not our agenda. So I think let's deal with first things first. So let's get the idea of returning to apartheid out of this whole issue. You're speaking about unity in South Africa. No, National Conservative Party, and now I'm speaking also maybe on behalf of Black Monday movement, because we affiliate with one another, we cannot see that a unitary state in South Africa will exist in 5 years or 10 years from now. And it's not only a white thing. We see the Khoisan groups in the Western Cape very, very clearly moving into a direction of self-determination. We're seeing the Wangona people in the Northern Province very clearly moving into the direction of self-determination. The Zulu kingdom itself, King Guto Zwelithini is making noises in the direction of, but we want to govern ourselves, especially with the coming up of the race war. So relating to unity, I don't have to be against or for unity. I'm just being a realist and saying to you what is happening in South Africa today very clearly indicates a road. Maybe this is what my colleague is also saying. Very clearly signaling a road that we are going to have to travel.
Valerie, I
and deal with it.
In terms of even association and lobbying, I know that you draw attention to white genocide, but also you've been affiliated and associated with white supremacists, with homophobic individuals, with individuals that were publicly declared themselves as members of the Nazi. Is this true, and what's your stance on it?
No, this is not true. This is totally not true. Black Monday is a folk identity. It is for the people of South Africa. Basically, Black Monday, it's created to bring people of all races together in unity, so that the people of South Africa can stand up to the things that do matter in South Africa, to focus on the points of genocide of all minority groups in South Africa. So it's not just a race-based thing.
All right, we're going to continue with our conversation very soon. We're just going to, of course, take a short promo, but stay tuned, because when we come back, we're having your news bulletin. Welcome back to the morning show, and we're still joined by the National Chairperson of Black Monday Movement, Valerie Beyliefeldt, and Chairperson of National Conservative Party, Schalk, Merwe, the spokesperson of Zuid-Afrika, Simon Roche, and also Julia Eckles joins us, and we discuss the alleged white genocide in the country and what it actually means to them, and further interrogate whether the idea of democracy exists in it or not. Now, also, we'll be, of course, showing you a clip from Black Monday, and let's have a look.
We can relax. Everybody feel okay? Whoa! Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on! Come on!
If you want to cultivate the land in South Africa, say these farmers, this is the sort of training you need. A 2-week tactical survival course run by a former member of the Israeli Special Forces. Idan Abolnik is teaching this group how to ward off or neutralize the enemy, a self-described practical guide to staying alive.
They're here because they want to make a difference. They want to defend their life, to feel more secure for the family and for them.
And his pupils claim plenty of real-world experience.
I've been attacked myself, and these attackers were trained very well. So and I got shot in my face, and you can see the marks over there. And I got stabbed 9 times by a knife, but I survived it.
It's personal accounts like these that fuel the sense of fear.
Fight!
And people like Marley Swanepoel think they're being targeted because they're white.
Good.
It's pretty intense, isn't it?
This is not intense. What's happening in our country?
Everyone hear me, come here.
And I get very emotional about it.
Come here, guys.
What is happening in South Africa?
Our people are getting murdered, tortured. Our old people who can't defend themselves are being burned with.
Now, that was a Sky News clip, rather, showing, of course, of the investigative report they've conducted with regards to white farmer killings. Now, we have Julia Eckles joining us in studio. Julia, thank you for your time and for joining us. Now, what is your stance? Because we were talking about, the stance on white genocide. Does white genocide exist in South Africa?
I think it's a very, very, very far cry from white genocide. I think that's garbage, and I think it's absolutely made up. And I think it's a narrative that's designed to stoke racism and fear.
Why do you feel so?
I feel that way because I've lived in this country my whole life. I've never been treated badly by a person from another race, and I think that I just think that it's a made-up phenomenon, and I think it serves a very particular political purpose.
And I know that, Simon, you mentioned, of course, some statistics saying that there seems to be a civil war that South Africa is coming into. And hearing what Julia is saying, and perhaps even from the viewer's perspective, isn't this more of, instilling fear and terror in South Africans, that perhaps there could be a civil war coming? Are they training camps in place whereby people are preparing for the civil war? Is it just more of a conversation that's been had, but nobody is really aware of the intensity of this particular war?
Well, I think if you reduce it to statistics, the BBC had a report on its website about 3 weeks ago where it compared the national murder rate, not of white people, the national murder rate of 35.8 people per 100,000 in South Africa to the fatality rates in Syria and other war zones. So we know for a fact, because it's mathematical, that there is indeed a crisis in South Africa in terms of crime. Now, if you reduce this to the white farmers, you are not talking about a rate of 35.8 per 100,000. You're talking of a rate closer to 160 per 100,000 on the basis of about 25,000 white farmers in South Africa, on the basis of an average of about 57 murders over the past 3 years, the average. It's mathematics. Anybody can dispute it all that they like. You don't get a different mathematical result. No. And these are objective facts. The number of white farmers and the number of farmers murdered as released by the police, by Ketla Sitole and Begi Trele in April of this year, has got nothing to do with whites or racism or stoking hatred or fear or panic. It's mathematics. Mathematics provided by other people. It's as simple as that.
If you don't mind me interjecting, everything that Simon has just said is complete and utter garbage. The police statistics that were released this year show that black people are actually the most in danger and the most at risk of being murdered, and that white people are much safer.
That's a false comparison.
With all due respect.
My comparison was between the national murder rate and farmers.
All right, let's wait for Julia to make their point, please. Simon, you've made your point. Let Julia finish her point, please.
Yes, thank you. With regards to areas like Khayelitsha, with any townships or informal settlements, the murder rate is multiple times higher than any white neighborhood. And even if one narrows it down to farmers, white people are still much safer than their black counterparts. So this rate, this false murder rate that keeps getting circulated around the right-wing media and all around social media is incorrect, it's false, it's not mathematical. And with all due respect, my fellow guest here earlier mentioned Gregory Stanton from the USA. Gregory Stanton is one person. He's not, what he says isn't scientifically proven. And with, if I may just finish.
Very briefly, so I can give Valerie a chance, please.
Can I come in here? When you say it's not race-based, now you tell me, when Julius Malema on national television says that he is not calling for a white genocide, for at least not now, what do you call that?
I mean, that's Julius Malema.
Answer me, what do you call that?
Well, what do you want me to say?
I will not allow an argument. Valerie, your argument, please.
Okay, so yes, it is race-based, because Julius Malema went on national TV saying that he is not calling for a white genocide, for at least not now. What do you call that? Julia, tell me something. Have you ever been on a farm, seeing the circumstances surrounding a farm attack?
Yeah.
Did you speak to the people or to the wives of the farmers that was?
All right, Valerie, let her respond, please.
Okay.
Julia,
Valerie,
response.
with all due respect, we can sit here and talk about the experiences that we've had in crimes, in cities, in towns, in farms, in informal settlements, and everyone has terrible stories, sad stories, and it's fine to sit here and get emotional, and it is emotional, and it's terrible. Every death is a terrible tragedy. But for us to sit here and say that it's because of race. No, it's because of crime.
No,
it's because of desperation.
All right, I need to come to Schalk, if you may. Schalk, you wanted to make a point. In 1 minute, please. I need to understand your stance, specifically with what Julia mentioned, because she made a comparison to other townships, such as Khayelitsha, in compared, of course, to the farm killing stats that you've mentioned before.
Thank you, Tumelo. Yes, the difference, and that is maybe what you do not grasp, Julia. We do not have somebody going on national TV in front of the whole nation stating we must now go and genocide the people in Khayelitsha when we choose. And then people are killed there. Exactly. We have Julius Malema, we have Andile from BLF, we have certain other black leaders going out specifically saying, kill the Boer, kill white people. You see it in the media every day, and in that context, you cannot deny what is going on farms. Farm murders are black perpetrators and white farmers. We need to stop that as much as we need to stop the violence in Khayelitsha. I have coloured friends in the Western Cape. Coloured people there feel that they are being genocided there also. But it's a different problem there. It's based on the drug wars between the gangs there. We need to go and investigate and have these discussions to see where the problem is so that we can fix the problem.
All right. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but I have to stop this conversation right here. Wish we continue, but unfortunately, due to time, we have to stop this. Simon, Valerie, Julia, Schalk, thank you for your time. And that's all the time we had right here on the morning show. And we are going to, of course, take a short break, but stay tuned to the morning show because more continues.